disaster relief, with education and mentorship. Heart on Main Street is an important organization that we encourage everyone to support. A little housekeeping, this webinar, as you could tell, is being recorded, and it's going to be available via Dallas Market Center's YouTube channel, and look for that link. Also, we want to take time to answer your questions at the end of the session, so please submit your questions as we go, and we'll circle back to a time period for questions. And I also want to encourage everyone to visit the new Dallas Market Center website to learn more about what you can do as we face uncertainty. And we have a page dedicated to information and action. And of course, we look forward to seeing you in an upcoming market here in Dallas. Speaking of taking action, action is really a common word and thread among our retail panelists today, who are not only successful business people, but they are truly mentors and leaders in the business of retail. And while tariffs have been lowered for 90 days, if you joined us a little early, you probably heard the chatter. There's a lot of uncertainty still circulating for retailers across the country. So our panelists today really need no introduction, but I'm going to thank them individually for their time. That includes Alison Dodson Anderson of A. Dodson's in Suffolk, Virginia. Thank you, Alison. Sara Faircloth of Faircloth Boutique in Detroit. Thank you, Sara. Ashley Alderson of the Boutique Hub. The Boutique Hub is the world's largest community connecting boutique retailers, e-commerce retail, wholesale brands, product makers, and industry services. And the Boutique Hub Summit is taking place right here at Dallas Market Center next month. So thank you, Ashley. Kenneth Ludwig is with us. Kenneth Ludwig, Chicago. Thank you, Kenneth. Mary Liz Curtin of Leon and Lulu in Clawson, Michigan. Thank you, Mary Liz. And Beth Rich. Thank you, Beth, from Mix It Up in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. These are our panelists. Thank you all for joining us. Question number one, I'm going to send this to Ashley. Ashley, can you give us and share with us what your community of brands and makers and retailers are saying right now about the tariffs, the pause in tariffs, and managing change in their business?
Yeah, thanks, Cole, for having me. I'm honored to get to bring the voice with, which I'm sure many of us will share, kind of the opinion of what the voice of the Boutique Hub has had for the last couple of weeks. And it's one word, of course, it's uncertainty. And I think we're in a unique vantage point at the Boutique Hub to see both the apparel side of the industry and the gift side of the industry, along with the manufacturers and brands. And as everyone looked at uncertainty, it really was because no matter what you sold, the tariffs were being handled a little bit different. I would say on the gift side of our industry, we saw a lot more impact because of the length of pre-orders and because of where some of the manufacturing was taking place. There was a lot more, I would say, instant impact that was felt. Where in apparel, because there was so much apparel that was already stateside, we weren't hearing what was going to happen with the tariffs with those brands. And so it just continued to raise the question of uncertainty and when is this going to take effect? Is it going to take effect? And then uncertainty was really doubled with everyone handling it differently. Some brands chose to absorb that cost themselves and say, we're going to ride this out. Others began to increase pricing without really saying much about it. And others began to add a tariff as a line item. So because of the way everyone handled it differently, again, it kind of just raised the temperature of the room, whether people were seeing an increase in prices directly or not. So still a lot of questions. And I know we're going to get into all those questions in a little bit, but I do want to share this. I will say amongst all of the uncertainty, there was some definite positives that I saw when our community really rallied around and had this conversation. The first was, I believe a lot of retailers are now able to source smarter. They maybe didn't have complete insight into where all products were being manufactured. We maybe thought that a lot were coming from China, when in fact, especially in apparel, a lot were coming from Vietnam and from other countries. And so there weren't impacts there when we maybe thought that there was going to be. And that really drove up the relationship between the retailer and the brand, which is always a positive when we can create a stronger partnership between those two individuals. I also think that it forced retailers to increase value-driven marketing. So rather than just selling a black dress or selling a candle, we had to get a lot smarter, especially as prices were going up, in how we're presenting our marketing with a value first or a problem solving approach in marketing. And so that made people really think about how they're showing up digitally, whether they sell online or brick and mortar. It also faced retailers with that, knowing your numbers dilemma of better managing inventory on hand, inventory on order, really driving home where does my margin come from. And then one of the biggest positives that I will say has impacted many stores in the boutique hub so far is with what's happened with Shein and Temu, with the loophole that was closed with the de minimis. We saw ad costs because they were the largest advertising buyer on Meta. They completely dropped all of their advertising. And so all of our retailers inside of Boutique Hub Black, which are all running ads across Meta, they saw their ad costs completely drop. They became more affordable and they saw their reach go up because their largest competitor was then off the table. That drove a lot of consumer awareness about those products coming from Shein and Temu as well. So I think those were all positives that we didn't intend to, we didn't expect to see happen amongst all the uncertainty that is, still going to continue to happen for the time being.
Well, thank you, Ashley. And Alison, observations about business conditions, dovetailing on what Ashley was saying. How are conditions in your market? What are you seeing? How are sales? How is the consumer sentiment?
Yeah, so I mean, we are in a very large military base. We're right next to Norfolk. So definitely seeing the impact there where the military families are impacted by what's going on at the federal government level, not necessarily affected by the tariffs, but in store, people are beginning to talk about it. They're not so much concerned about it being made in America as much as they are that it's made in China, if that kind of makes sense. So what we're seeing is people really coming in and asking not to have the China product because they believe down the road that the tariffs will be put in place. And it really has, to Ashley's point, to piggyback on it, people really are starting to care at the consumer level where their products are coming from. I do wish it was more driven towards a made in America kind of sentiment, but in our area, it's not. It's really just that it's, again, not in China. Again, exactly what Ashley said, Shein and Temu really seeing our apparel pick up because of that not being on the table, just seeing that both online for us and in store. Again, also hearing our customers talk about it. Oh my goodness, did you see the tariff that was going to be put in place when I placed that order on either one of those websites? They're really starting to talk about it. But I mean, here in our area, it really is truly driven by military all the way and the federal government cuts that are coming in.
Well, Mary Liz, I want to get you to weigh in on that. What's the conditions like that you're seeing in your market, the sales and the consumer sentiment?
Well, we're here in the heartland. We've always had a strong buy American, unless what I really want comes from China, in which case it's okay, sentiment. And that's been solid forever. So we've always pursued American-made goods. But our customers are very nervous about the economic and political climate in general. We hear they're worried about the way our country is headed and things bigger than just the tariffs. I don't hear a lot of tariff comments yet. I do hear a lot of, I'm not sure what Christmas is going to be like, and I'm terrified about inflation. So there's that uncertainty is hitting us as much as anything else. Our traffic is okay. Our numbers are okay. Our clothing numbers are still pretty strong, but furniture has been soft this whole year, the bigger goods, and that's not tariff driven or anything else. Some of it, I think, is still a leftover from the giddy days of the pandemic when people were buying sofas and stuff left and right. So we're still straightening it all out, but it's hard to do any comps and make them make any sense anywhere at any time. But all in all, we're convinced that if we have a strong offering and if we look like we've got a full cart and we're positive, Christmas will somehow come, we think.
Most definitely. And speaking of sofas and such, Kenneth, what's your take on all of this?
Our retail has been disastrously slow. And I thought at least getting through the elections and then the installation of the new administration, eventually people kind of would adapt, the thought process. Okay, it is what it is. Let's move on. And we go days without people coming into the store at all. And we're in a very upwardly wealthy, dual income professional neighborhood that, basically can pretty much afford things, but it just doesn't seem as though the ladies are entertaining, going to birthday parties, bringing hostess gifts to anyone. Now, our furniture division and the trade has definitely picked up and been very strong, and our Cherish shop and our online sales have been great as well. But the retail portion is what really actually worries me. And Christmas, at least for that division, is such a huge moneymaker, surrounded by at least 12 to 15 private events, with ladies' nights out and different charities hosting events here, that it's just kind of caused chaos. And we're just a little uncertain as to, how this is all going to pan out. Kind of like Mary Liz, most people are just now kind of starting to ask questions about, oh, how are things affecting you, or what are you going to be getting your Christmas merchandise in? So we're just trying to educate our clientele base and keep them as transparent and in the know as possible.
Well, thank you for that. Let's switch gears and move to fashion. And Sara, as a fashion retailer, what conversations are you having? What have you heard from suppliers? What plans have you made? Or what are the most important questions you're asking about the next season, about supply, and that element of your business?
I mean, right now it is like Ashley said, it's like a cyclone of uncertainty. So they really can't give you a solid answer. And that's the hard part. So you're gambling a little bit, or it's like a little Russian roulette. Like you still have to have stuff in your store. Otherwise, people think you're going out of business and they get excited about the new and what you're bringing in. Like I do, every Sunday, I do try-on of our new arrivals. If I don't have any new arrivals for weeks, people are like, ooh, what's going on? And then you lose all of those people and their attention, and getting them to like quickly come into the store because we have one of each size, and, creating that demand. So everyone I talk to, some of them are, like as Ashley said, they're, absorbing that tariff, which we as a small business appreciate. They're a much bigger organization to absorb it than I am. And I think it really shows a sense of loyalty to them, as, how they feel about us and that relationship. They want to keep us buying from them versus going maybe to somebody else that's absorbing it or not absorbing it. So I really think that they're thinking like bigger picture, like how long will this go on? Eventually, I think everyone hopes that the waters will calm and like the sea will go back to normalcy at some point. It is that unlevel of uncertainty where, March was always like a huge month for us with spring breaks and things like that. I think people still went on spring break. They might not have shopped as much. And so they're thinking about where they're spending their money a little bit more. I, for one, am ecstatic about the Shein and Temu debauchery being gone. Researching that and then really kind of talking to people and telling them like how much money actually went out of the country to Shein last year. They're like aghast. People don't know, and they don't do the research because they don't necessarily care. So I think kind of like educating our customers on where their money's going, when they spend at a Shein and Temu versus spending local, is extremely important. So, I mean, fashion, like I said, you can't leave the house naked. So people still have to shop, and I think it brings them joy to shop and get something new. So we're kind of continuing, like Mary Liz says, foot on the gas and moving full steam ahead.
Well, thanks for that. And Beth, I know you were talking strategy before we got started formally here, and what your plans are, and hearing from suppliers and thinking ahead. Uh, you know, what is your take on the supply side and gaining the merchandise you need, and also planning?
First, I'd like to say that I have been so pleased with the level of communication that we have received from our suppliers. I've never received so many emails from presidents of so many companies as I have in the last couple of months. And that open line of communication has been so welcomed. Just keeping us up to date. We got an email on Friday that the price was going up on one of our big plush animals, and then then yesterday we got a message that said, never mind, and they're going to pause it. And so, but just quick and thorough and effective communication from our suppliers, just trying to keep us. Now it's a lot. And so I haven't had a chance to see the tool that you've put on the Dallas Market Center website, but something to try to kind of keep it all in one place together where you can get it almost, we've got like a spreadsheet going that tells you what it is. And we've asked and answered the question, how would you like to see it? Would you prefer to see the price go up, or would you prefer to see a surcharge line item? We very much would rather have a surcharge line item. As soon as the price goes up, I don't know that it ever comes back down. It's harder to change that. I'd rather see a surcharge than a price increase. And interestingly enough, Mary Liz is in the gift and the furniture home kind of business all in one space. We have 2 stores here in Coeur d'Alene. So because we split the brand, we have a gift store and a home store, and they're 2 separate buildings and 2 separate brands. Well, it's the same brand, but 2 separate. And we did a little shift last September. We saw the furniture end of the business. We just didn't have the square feet to tell the furniture story. So in hindsight, we are looking back and grateful that we made a paradigm shift, kind of getting out of the furniture end of the business, more into the housewares kind of home side of the business. And that in hindsight has just been kind of a blessing in disguise.
Well, thanks, Beth. And Mary Liz, let's talk about merchandise mix. But you once wrote a book called The Shopkeeper's Manual, and clearly this wasn't in the manual. But what are the most important questions you're asking right now? And also, to Beth's point she just made about the mix of merchandise, the shifts you either have made or will continue to make.
Well, it's always been handy for us to have the 3 different parts of the business, because when one of them is a mess, one of the other 2 is probably going to pull us out of the hole. But one of the things I'm finding even more important are our special events and the parties, both in our restaurant and in our retail store. I think that at this time, when there's so much uncertainty about everything, that sense of community is really, really important. Our fashion shows are getting it big. We've got 120 registered for our fashion show tomorrow night. We've got people coming in for the girls' nights out and for our new old guys band night at Three Cats Restaurant. So I think it's really important that those of us who are indie retailers realize how much we mean to the people who shop with us and to our communities, and bring that into the equation as well, because we tend to forget that it's always been important for us, but now it's way more important. But when I wrote that book, it never would occur to me that we would have somebody systematically trying to destroy the government and the retail world all at once, which is, a lot. I left that chapter out.
Well, clearly. And Beth, back to you for a moment. You mentioned earlier gift and home as separate areas. Let's talk about the fourth quarter for a minute, and especially, for product delivery, for filling shelves. What are you projecting? How are you preparing? And again, I know a lot is up in the air, but specifically for product delivery and making sure your shelves are filled for the fourth quarter.
Yeah. As in the pre-conversation that we were having, when we buy 80% of our holiday was bought in January, the January shows. And so, we have a ship date of as early as you can get it to us. So technically for us, that was May 1st. We haven't seen a lot of holiday coming in, but we will receive it. If we're fortunate, we buy at a level where we get it in the summertime. We have a place to put it. We have holiday dating, so we're not having to pay the bill until it comes. And I encourage retailers, if you can pull your resources together and do that. I mean, it's a great way to leverage your resources, because you can get your product in. So we'll have to wait and see. I'm headed to the summer shows. And I will be, walking the floors. I'll be hitting all the temporaries in Dallas and Atlanta, looking for things that we can add and fill, again, sort of almost as we're always looking for new and unique, but I want to know if things that I had on order don't show up, what is my backup plan? So the summer show to me is an opportunity, because I want to see it in person. I mean, I can go up, you can go online, you can spend all kinds of time looking, but I want to see it in person. I want to see the quality. I want to talk to the people. The relationship we have with our vendors is so important to us. I want to meet the people that own the company. And that's the thing that I love about being at an in-person market, is having the opportunity to do that. We did a paradigm shift several years ago in our gift store. When I bought the store 7 years ago, and it had been there for 10, but the store at Christmas time would almost completely and totally transition to holiday, and all of the merchandise in the store was sort of holiday merchandise. And about 3 years ago, we did a paradigm shift, and we realized we're a gift store. And so now 25% of the front of the store turns to holiday, and the other 75% of the gift store remains it's gifts. It's the gifts that you're going to buy. So the beauty of it is at the end of the holiday season, if it's Bath and Body or if it's, plush or whatever it is, I mean, I'm not having to put it on sale because it's not technically holiday related. We have enough holiday to make our customers feel the holiday. 2 blocks down the street, I have a home store. So I have a place to put all the florals and the serveware and all that store becomes about 65% holiday because it's in a separate location. So a unique situation for us from that perspective.
Well, Allison, what you've heard from Beth and others and product categories you're shifting away from or towards, and how you're navigating fourth quarter in terms of merchandise.
Yeah, I think it's about, kind of breaking down each and every product category. For example, we do a large toy business. It has its own almost like store within our store. We started to get emails that basically Halloween to some degree was canceled in the toy part from some of our vendors. So that was a hard kind of hit to take. We had to shift where we could buy toy, because we'd obviously placed those orders back in January or even the end of last year to do pre-books. And then like I'm really kind of focused on consumables for Q4, because I feel like while we might not be entertaining at the level we were post-COVID, I do believe that we're still going to see consumables go, obviously, because it's going to be a lot of made in America products that are coming here. And, I feel like apparel is still going to be super strong. Like was said earlier by Sara, we can't leave the house naked, and all girls like to wear a pretty dress. So that's still going to be really strong for us. But I've started to source those from other places. I've really turn to Mexico, turn to our partners to find everything from new bag lines to jewelry to clothing that's coming out of Mexico, and just looking at what else I can find other than from China.
That's great. And Kenneth, over to you on the home side. What do your fall and winter deliveries look like? Observations you're making on the flow of goods for fourth quarter, changes you're anticipating? How are you thinking of adjusting?
Like everyone else, we have all of our Christmas holiday orders, dated orders already in place. Yet to see deliveries as of that yet. So we're going to kind of take approach, which is going to be a little bit new, but like Beth has done, is really focus on the core group of gift items that we carry: scented candles, personal care, gourmet food, charcuterie, books, entertaining items, tabletop, and focus on making sure that they are stocked and as full as possible. And probably instead of completely transitioning the whole entire store to holiday like we have in all the years past, doing a very similar about 25-30% up front, the windows of course done, but really focusing on that gift giving aspect. And I'm going to definitely, when being at Dallas Market, look at packaging resources for much more elaborate and fun holiday packaging, gift basket materials, so that we can take those component parts and put together a great gift basket that appears holiday and gift giving. But that way I'm not having to rely on, ooh, did I sell those 24 floral stems or the garland or the wreaths? Obviously, I'm hoping that, 75-80% of the stuff that we spent 3 days buying, definitely arrives. But I think you've got to have a plan of action and attack. And, the nice thing is, like everybody else has said, most of those consumable items definitely are made in America, especially with the gourmet food and the scented candles. So why just not make an additional marketing effort towards promoting those particular items?
Yeah, sounds smart. Sara, the fashion business is a little bit different, the boutique side, in terms of seasonal planning. Can you give us an idea about how you're planning holiday sales? When do you start? What your planning processes look like? Any changes you've made compared to previous years?
I mean, we're definitely in the throes of planning now. No one wants to think about Santa quite yet, but here we are, we have to. I mean, I really kind of looked at more and kind of the same thing everyone's saying, like not as holiday focused, because like, reindeers after December 25th are not cute and they have to go on sale. So I'm kind of doing more of like holiday vibes and festive versus like you can dress it up for holiday, but then you could dress it up in January. So that's what I'm gonna kind of focus on. Like I'm not doing like more of the kitschy holiday sweaters and sweatshirts and dresses. I'm gonna stick more to kind of like I mean, seasons are 365 for me anyways. So I'm really gonna lean into that and the vibe of Faircloth, of being able to dress up holiday that way, but also where you can repurpose it going into the new year. So I think that that's one thing that I'm going to do differently. I've always done like holiday type swag and sweaters and things like that. I'm not going to really do as much of that this year. Gifty stuff for sure. Like, Kenneth was saying, candles are always an amazing gift, and finding maybe some of those really unique, kind of cool, different items. Like, yeah, looking more at Mexico, looking almost a little bit. I tried to not over purchase. It's a boutique hub thing. Like, don't overbuy just because you love it doesn't mean you need to buy it. So I've learned a lot from them, and I've really kind of slimmed down. I bought, a couple of my bigger brands that are non-negotiables. You have to buy from them because they don't cut extra. And the other stuff I'm going to kind of fill in. I'll go to a market like Alison said in August and Beth and fill in, find those temporaries, find some really cool, unique, awesome things that no one else has. I mean, it's a nice thing about being here in Detroit and with Mary Liz. We don't have a ton of boutiques. So luckily I don't have a ton of competition all over the place. So I can really find something really cool and different. And that's also the vibe of Faircloth. And that's what I'm going to lean into for the holiday season and events. People love it. They feel special when they get to come to an event. They get a little swag bag or something like that. Like that's going to be my big November, December, maybe even October push, is some really fun, like unique fashion forward thinking events.
Well, that's great. And Ashley, you got a shout out there. And what are you hearing from your folks and your members about, reducing or maintaining or expanding their assortments in response to the economic conditions that we're in? What's word on the street among your membership?
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Sara. And you're absolutely spot on. You don't want to overbuy. But like we saw with COVID, we saw a lot of overbuying, but we also saw a lot of underbuying out of fear. And so you really can ride that teeter-totter in this situation. So we're seeing people say, nope, full steam ahead. We're going to stay with what the plan is. We're still seeing a lot of really strong sales numbers right now across the board. It kind of depends on, I would say, your marketing mix and where you're at, but for the most part, still pretty positive. So full steam ahead. But again, like many of you guys have said, maybe not the kitschy, Santa Claus, those sort of items, especially in apparel, but more so things that can be multi-use. They can tell a story in multiple different collection types. They can be color focused versus character focused. And then also items that can tell a story. So a lot of the things that, come from China, you can find, a dime a dozen anywhere around the internet. So the more you can find made locally, handmade, made in America, or from the temps at market, something that's really unique and tells a story that will lead well to your marketing. And then especially if you're running Facebook ads, it can lead into your Facebook ads as well. So the storytelling, the multi-uses, the collections. And then one last thing, because of that opportunity right now that we're seeing with Facebook ads, we're also seeing people testing, where can I go a little bit deeper with products? So I may have a wide assortment traditionally, but if I can find something that I know is going to be a hit, I might test out going a little deeper if I'm going to be running Facebook ads to some of those types of collections.
Well, thanks for that. And Mary Liz, I know you pride yourself and have a great assortment of items. How are you staying in tune for making adjustments on product availability, thinking about, as Ashley said, maybe testing some new products, looking at different types of products? How's your plan evolving?
Well, our plan has always been to have a solid basis in the stuff that our customers really, really want. The core products, the milk and eggs, if you will, of the gift business and the home business, while having a lot of fun stuff that may or may not sell, but keeps the store really magical. We haven't deviated from that at all. My biggest worry is that I'm not going to be able to get my hands on enough of that core product, the Santa Clauses and the snowmen and the basic things. So we're buying that now, but we continue to look and invest in silly stuff, fun stuff, wacky stuff. And we also feel very strongly about supporting the small manufacturers who will grow to become the big ones someday. So we buy a lot of things from people, and we've always had a problem. We'll order stuff from these screwy little manufacturers and never get it, or it's not right, but it's part of the game, and we haven't stopped playing that game at all. We're in wholeheartedly for this Christmas season. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if I have enough heart, but by golly, it's all there.
That's great to hear. And so to you, Kenneth, in terms of planning and category adjustments, you mentioned earlier about particular items and particular categories you might lean into. Any other comments on the planning ahead for fourth quarter, and also just on the consumer mentality of what they're thinking these days?
Yeah, and I in tune kind of with everyone else. Definitely searching out more made in America products. Really looking at all the categories we carry, where is it coming from, but searching that out, smaller manufacturers, and for our realm of decorative accessories, original artwork, linens and pillows and bedding, things that I think we can bump up that category and make a much bigger statement, but then also are in tune with the Made in America and supporting local. We've got some great local workrooms here that are producing pillows for a number of brands in the industry, and we've dabbled, but now when I've seen the growth of that particular category, and it fits in obviously that we can promote it to our interior design group as well. Pillows sell great on Cherish. That's a big category we're going to pump up. And I think, it's instilling confidence in the client that it's going to be okay. A lot have come in lately with us, and oh my God, my 401k is down, and I was like, but you're not selling. Just, hold on to it, and let's make a plan. You've got some projects that you wanted to do. Let's knock those off one by one by one. And so I think it's just really being in a lot of communication with our core group of clients that, yes, we are going full force forward. We're hoping that Christmas will turn out to be great, but we're also going to offer you a lot of other options so that when you're hosting your ladies' party, maybe it's not just a Christmas theme. Maybe it's a discover custom textile, or hey, we've got 3 new original artists who I'd like you to meet who can do commissions for you. So it's kind of, changing and adding to the product categories that already exist.
So Beth, a question for you on that, on the product categories. You mentioned earlier some adjustments you have made. Are there, looking ahead, particular trends or categories that you think are going to emphasize with holiday sales this year?
As far as trends go, again, when we did our buy back in January, we continued to sort of pull back from. I think we had too much red last year at Christmas time. I got to a certain point about early December, and I was like, okay, I can't look at that table anymore because it was just too many Santas, too much red, and so we made that decision at market to, again, as Kenneth was saying, to pull back and to have just a. We changed our color palette. Ashley tells the story about, we are storytellers. And if you're going to be successful in this business, you have to be able to tell a story. And so as we looked at it in January and put our vision together for the year, we are simply telling stories. And so we pulled back from kind of the red and green and classic and told a little bit more of a woodlands kind of softer color palette. We felt like it was merchandise that people could pull out at Thanksgiving, and if they wanted to, I live 90 miles from the Canadian border. If you wanted to keep it into January and past the holiday season, you could. And so ironically, now you look at it and it has a little bit more value to it because you can extend it. We did the same thing in our home store when we looked at color palettes, less red and green and a little bit more into some other color palettes that could span the spectrum and stay on your table into January, February if you decided you wanted to do it. And so from that perspective, we went into less classically Christmas things like Santas. We stayed with Jim Shore. Jim's a great brand. And, but every Santa that we brought in this year is from Jim Shore. I mean, we just brought in his collection. And again, that 25% of the front of the store. And then like Kenneth said, we will go into the packaging. I love what you said, Kenneth, because we have current packaging, but I hadn't thought about taking some time at markets this summer to really sort of say, well, what can we do in addition to what we currently have? How can we add value with showing you? And I think, again, our customers look to us as a resource to say, help me to find the perfect gift. I mean, we are very much in the gift. Again, we're in the gift business. We're in the make your home beautiful business. And then we're also in the, can you please help me find a gift business? And I love the transition that happens between the two, because now that we've gone more into the home and houseware as part of the home store, we have people who come in and say, okay, I'm looking for a gift, but it's a housewarming present. I'm a real estate agent buying a present. And so they walk into the home store looking for a gift that has something to do with home. And so we have enjoyed having the two stores and being able to kind of pull from both stores when it comes to gift giving and pulling gift giving. And I'm sure, Kenneth, you see that in your stores, is that it's a housewarming gift, or I'm going to a party and I want to take a hostess gift and those type of things.
Yes, let's shift gears for a minute to operations. And Alison, whether you want to weigh in on the value add comment that Beth made, but also your biggest operational challenges at this point. Is it sourcing? Is it staffing? Is it pricing? What are the operational challenges that other retailers need to be aware of?
Yes, yes, and yes. Yes, I mean, I'll take it first. Obviously, staffing has been a challenge since COVID, finding with, the rising of minimum wage in our state. It almost doubled since COVID, but then looking for just really great employees. But looking on the flip side of that, am I going to be able to afford the staff I have if these tariffs go in place? Because am I going to have the product that I have planned the staff for? So when you have such a disruption to our marketplace like this, for us as retailers, you have to start thinking, if we're not getting that container or that FedEx shipment every single day the way that we were getting them, like from June 15th is probably when most people on this panel begin to take their major Christmas in. And you're shifting it all the way to July 15th or even to August 15th. In some cases, I've heard that is really such a disruptor to us as retailers, because we've planned our staffing accordingly. And if we've used part-time staffing over the summer, that might be a minimum wage college students or high school students. And now how am I going to find that workforce once they've gone back to school in August? So yes, staffing is a huge, huge thought for us beyond just the entry level here. I think also when you're looking at pricing, we've gone ahead and taken some price increases wherever I feel like we could, when we could move from the $24.99 to $29.99 on products that we are predicting are going to increase. And Beth really hit it. I mean, we would much rather have that line item as a surcharge versus increasing our prices, because we know you're not coming back down. We just know that. So where we've been able to take that margin now, I've been working with some wholesalers to say, hey, I really do believe that no matter what happens with these tariffs, these are the items within your line that I feel like we could get more for in our store. Let's partner and go ahead and talk about having those increases now, because I feel like the market can handle it. There's not a lot of things, but I have reached out to my wholesalers to say, hey, this part of your line, I feel like we can have an increase in. This part, we really can't. That's all the market will take. And then I think it's just overall communication to our customer, really getting them to begin to understand. And I hope there's a lot of retailers on this call, because, the news has been reporting that, for some of us, it could only be 90 days means everything, because it could really just wipe out part of our industry. So, communicating that to our customers, the importance of shopping local, getting into your retail stores, that's going to be a big push beyond just, hey, buy this consumable this year. It's really going to be like almost going back to the shop local. Why, like that your $100, how does that stretch in my community? Are you paying for my daughter's ballet lessons? Are you helping to pay for my, store manager's, kids' braces? Getting that message back out there about why it means so much to our customer to shop local.
Well, thanks for that. Sara, to you to put a finer point on some, operational challenges you might have and how you're addressing them.
Yeah, I mean, I just, my weekend girl just gave me her 2 weeks. So if anyone else calls in Michigan needs a job, let me know. So staffing is always a big fluctuation. And, I still work full time on top of the boutique. So I have limited time and resources that I put into the boutique itself. I have an amazing manager who's a unicorn, and it is all about staffing. It's finding the right quality people to, be in that position in your boutique. It's, it's your baby type situation. So staffing is huge. And I think that, yeah, pricing, like I always tell my girls, like, price it for what you think we can sell it for. Like, what would you pay? It doesn't always have to be that 2.2 or 2.5 and 3 or what have you. Like, if you think about it strategically, like, because at the end of the day, that goes towards you getting a raise or us being able to buy more inventory or do an event or to give back to our customers and do a giveaway or something like that. So having them really think about the business as a whole and bringing them into that picture, I think really helps and gets them to buy in and see like how important it is, like daily sales and things along those lines. Um, I'm all about elevate the sale. It's giving the customers the experience, having it be unique when they walk into the door. I want them to always walk out leaving better than when they walked in. And that will bring customers, repeat customers back and back and back. And then they're telling their girlfriends, and we have to do a sip and shop. And so I really think about like every time that customer walks through the door, like how can we make their day a little bit better? And how can we make their experience at Faircloth a game changer? And that's something that can be very simple and easy to do. It's, asking them how their day is, talking with them. We offer, complimentary champagne while you shop. Like, doesn't cost me a lot, but it's a huge differentiator. And people kind of feel like I want to buy something from her because she seems really cool and she just gave me a little glass of champagne, which is simple, but it's all about that. And that's kind of what we're thinking about every day when we get people in door. Cause like Kenneth said, there's been days where no one comes in the door. And that's scary. So how can we change that narrative and what can we do to get people in our community shopping local and spending their money? Because when they spend their money locally, it stays in the community. When they spend their money at Shein, it goes straight to China. And that's what I think people don't think about. And that's what we need to advocate and communicate. $36 billion was Shein last year, what they sold. 40% of that was from the US. That's disgusting. And that's what I think we really need to educate people on, that shopping small is a big deal and it means jobs. It's braces, it's dental visits, it's all that kind of stuff. And I think that we just have to kind of maybe be a little more, not aggressive about it, but like we really need to like say it out loud more.
Well, amen to that. Mary Liz, operational challenges you're seeing and how you're addressing them?
Everything they said about employees is absolutely 100% true. One of the things we're facing is as we're receiving merchandise right now, we have to be really careful that our receiving team realizes exactly what we paid for it and how much it has changed, because some of these things are coming in with price increases that are not indicated on the invoices. So they've got to be vigilant about checking to see that we're retailing them at the right price. And then there's a little bonus fun to be had. We also import direct from Europe, especially fashion items. We're getting hit with a tariff from there, as well as the impact on the very weak dollar. So I've taught, they're having a whole world economics lesson in the receiving department. It's just magical. But we've got to be really careful to see what we're paying for stuff and stay on top of it. That's been a big problem.
Well, I bet. Ashley, question for you. Boutique Hub is all about, and I love the phrase, I've been using it and I've seen it used by other people, and that's community over competition. How are the business owners you're interacting with remaining connected right now? There's a lot of conversation on this forum about connection, but how are they staying connected right now to share information?
Yeah, well, I mean, first of all, Cole, thank you for hosting this. And I think just this panel alone is such a great example of community over competition. No one here is competing with one another. When we make the pie for small businesses and the awareness and the storytelling for small businesses that much bigger, it's better for our entire industry. So a rising tide definitely lifts all ships. And that's what we do every day inside of the Boutique Hub. So we have 14 different niche groups, kind of based on what you sell, the size of your business, where you're located, to try to just connect like people so that we can share this type of information on a regular basis. So we're seeing posts inside of our groups on the regular. We've hosted a few webinars. We've had some special podcast episodes. And then the unique piece is we have about 1,000 wholesale brands that are also a part of the community. So their voice gets to be heard there as well. And our stores are sharing information about what they're hearing from specific brands. But really a few key points. Collaboration's huge. So the more you can reach out to a store down the street or a store across the country and do a digital collaboration, the more we can pool our collective audiences together to, again, tell the story of what it means to support a small business. That collaboration is huge. I know a few of you guys mentioned the power of events and how huge that is right now. So if you can collaborate for a physical event, the consumer loves events at this point. And then just that opportunity again for storytelling and how we can tell one another stories and what it means to shop with a small business. Sara, preach. You could have dropped the microphone on the Shein and Temu conversation. We've been beating that drum for a long time. And so I'm just so excited that people finally see the other side of that and what it means to support a small business and keep those tax dollars. And all the dollars that are going back to payroll, into our operations, into our local community. We've got to keep those here. So telling that story is huge. And then finally, the biggest piece of strategy that I see people sharing right now is, again, how do you make yourself different? And I don't know if anyone here has read the book Fans First by Jessie Cole. Has anyone read that book? We just did a huge study on this book. Our team did a study, our mastermind group did a study, and some of my keynotes at the Boutique Summit Cole in Dallas in June are going to be about the book Fans First. But Jessie Cole's the owner of the Savannah Bananas, the baseball team, and their experience has absolutely changed the game of baseball. And so in the book, Jessie talks about how do all of us as business owners take this concept of leading with fans first back into our daily lives and really doing the undeserved, the unnecessary, and the unexpected in how we treat our customers and our team. And I think there's a huge opportunity there because the big box stores and Shein and Temu and those others, they aren't going to do it the way a small business owner does.
Well, that's absolutely right. It's great to have a book reference. We'll have to put the link up for everybody to form a book club and study that. Quick question, Kenneth, for you around staying connected with customers. We're talking about connection, and obviously connection is more important than ever. What is your advice right now about how you're staying connected with customers and what works best right now?
Well, obviously, we've bumped up social media. I'm kind of the one man gang here with that. And I forget sometimes when all this new stuff comes in, it's like, oh, shoot, should have posted for What's New Wednesday. Uh-oh, forgot about that. And so now maybe it's Friday's Finds instead. But really letting them know more like, hey, it's a small group. We only got 12 new cocktail napkins in, but they're super funny and you've got to come in and see them. And I just recently worked hard with about 15 other retailers here on our street. Our main shopping area basically is only about 8 blocks long, but we resurrected a program that was first Thursdays, Thursday night open till 8 o'clock, serving cocktails and light bites, hosting, um, kind of open house. What do you have? Do you have an original artist? Do you have a jewelry maker? Are you serving some kind of food? And we've actually asked our bars and our restaurants to join in with a special as well. So that way the message that's kind of being sent is the same throughout the street, which is great. And then we all used a local artist who we love to paint our windows. And so we have a great new theme of lemons, and then each one of us took a little bit of a twist. I've got right dead center in the middle of mine, support local, shop small. And everybody else has taken a little bit of that branding and also put it on their windows. And so we're starting to see a real good reaction to people as, yes, oh my God, I've got to get out on, not as well, I mean, every other day, but we'll for sure get out on that Thursday night and come support you guys. And this will now be the third one coming up in June, and they're progressively getting busier. And we'll run them. Normally, we kind of cut it off after summer. We've said we're going to run it all the way into fall and even into the holidays and just change up the theme. But that, I think, is going to help kind of get that message out. And then I've taken upon myself, I have a lot of my client cell phone addresses, which can be good and can be bad. You get late night texts about what pillow goes with this, and you're like, it's 9:30. But when stuff comes in, or we've just bought a new line, I'll just send a quick shout and say, hey, just thought of you. When it comes in, pop on over. So trying to just be a lot more in contact with our core group of, say, 30, 40 local customers.
Well, that's important to hear, Kenneth. Beth, what's been your approach on staying connected and maybe some examples of that?
Kenneth, I can feel your pain because I always say I am the social media marketing director at Mix It Up, which is my least favorite job. But the reality of it is, I always say I know everything. I know everything about every product. I know how many we have. I know what's coming. I know what's going on sale. And so it just makes so much sense for me to tell the story because I know the story rather than telling somebody how to tell the story and paying them to post the story. We are fortunate. We are Coeur d'Alene, our downtown area. We are a certified Main Street USA. And we have a very vibrant Chamber of Commerce, which a lot of people are fortunate enough to have in their communities. We have a downtown association, which is a business improvement district, which is completely and totally separate from the Chamber of Commerce and in addition to it. And they host an event every single month all year long. So in January, marketing genius, somebody decided to have a mac and cheese festival. They sell out 2,000 tickets and have 2,000 people on the wait list for a mac and cheese festival. We sell more on the third Saturday in January than the store used to sell for the entire month of January. Again, marketing genius. It's a community coming together with ideas. We have a very vibrant Arts and Culture Alliance. We do Art Walk the second Friday of every month, and then we host 75 events. I'm sure I can't get into the competing with Mary Liz on events, but we host 75 events at our gift store every year, and so. Part of it for us is just is whether we're emailing our customer, I say get a great email, just get a great email list. I mean, start giving stuff away, make them fill out an entry form, give you your email. The day I bought my store 7 years ago, I inherited 0 emails. Store had been there for 10 years. And the former owner of the store it wasn't her thing. And so I was like, okay, we're going to start doing a drawing and you're going to start giving you our emails. And now we have 15,000 emails in 6.5 years. And so we communicate heavily with our customers on email. But it's events. And, one of the things that we have really started to focus on is Maya Angelou will say, people will forget what you said. They'll forget what you did, but they will never forget the way you made them feel. And so customer loyalty and returning customers, you get customers who you treat them, we treat them like family. We treat them the way that we want to be treated. And what it does is our returning customer rate when I bought the store 7 years ago was less than 20%. And now it's over 70% when we run analytics. The people who come to shop with us, they love how we make them feel. They love them. It's what we sell. It's how we show them what we sell. It's how we display it, but it's how we make them feel. And that is, I think customer loyalty for us has been a key to kind of how we communicate with our customers.
Well, that's great, Beth. And I love to hear about that. And many of you have mentioned analytics, the details and digging into those details, because if you can't measure it, you can't move it, right? So you have to be able to look at your numbers, whether it is to your point about loyalty or whether it's email open rates, engagement, sell through, turn, all those kinds of measurements that you're responsible for. We've got just about 7 minutes remaining in our conversation, so I just want to mention to folks listening in, if you have any questions, to drop them in the chat and we'll get to those in a minute. And I want to turn the attention now to talk about summer markets. And Alison, you mentioned on a separate call with us about some of your planning for the summer markets. Why don't you share with the group about what your approach is going to be?
Right. So usually I do most of my apparel buying at the gift market. So I am going to attend more apparel markets this year than I ever have, just for the simple fact that I think I need to do a little bit more sourcing. Again, outside of China, looking for other wholesalers that we can find. But I'm also going to be really challenging my wholesalers to tell me, about where everything comes from. We're actually doing little signs all over our store. If it doesn't necessarily have to say made in the USA, but, from Germany, from wherever, or, just to kind of let the customer know where different products are. So I'm going to be looking for what Ashley said, those stories, that product, outside of China that comes with that feel good story of family that created it in their hometown and their home country, and what that story is. So I'll be approaching the apparel market in the same manner. I know it's fast fashion that we kind of live in right now, and I think that's not going away anytime soon, but I still think in the fashion industry there's still that layer where we can add that story of that jewelry line that really has that feel good emotion that we can connect to. And you know, to piggyback off of what, you know, Heart on Main Street's done, we've all talked about shopping local. I just applaud them and really bringing that not only into the markets when we go there and really getting on board with the ability, with the need to push shopping local and getting the word out there about why that's so important as well. So I just want to say thank you to them real quick. So
Yeah, the side of that on the is so important to emphasize, and also your sales reps. You know, there's an entire movement on reps are local too, and I want to give a shout out to the concept of your sales rep as your local partner, as your regional partner, and the value they can bring to your business. Sara, I want to reach out to you about your plans. I know you're thinking ahead, maybe even to August market, and how you're approaching working the markets this summer, if that's what your tactics are, how that might change.
Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely still planning. I'm a big market fan. I love Dallas, and it's always kind of Dallas is probably one of my favorite markets. I do New York normally in the fall, but even they have not had as much like the newness. So I think Dallas is a great avenue now to find some newer brands. And it's gonna be kind of more of that filler for holiday. Like, what do I need? What do I need? What's something that's different that speaks to me that I think that, you know, my clients are gonna like kind of go gaga over and like must have. Taking them on the journey in August and letting them see what I'm buying and helping them like buy with me, like has always been really fun and people love that. Um, so planning on August for sure, to come to Dallas and see like what's there. You know, the fast fashion, it's kind of like you almost have to change that narrative. Like not all fast fashion is bad. And that's also educating your customers and like it's not all bad. There's some great quality fast fashion out there. And they just associate it all with someone like the Shein and Temu. So I mean, I'm excited to see, touch, feel. I'm a big person. I don't like doing Zooms for clothes because I feel like you always get it's a kerfuffle is what I'm gonna say. It's never what you think it's gonna be. Um, but another good book I want to drop is Unreasonable Hospitality is another great book to read. And just to kind of like up the ante with your customers and clientele.
Well, that's great to hear. Mary Liz, you're always a whirlwind of activity at the summer shows. What are you going to be on the lookout for? How are you going to approach them?
The biggest difference for me for summer shows is I'm hoping that I'll have a better idea of where my holes are going to be, what I'm not going to get, and I'm going to try to fill them. Aside from that, we're always looking for new stuff, and that's all fun. But I'm going to have to work actually this time to dig out that stuff because of the holes in the assortment.
Yeah, and Kenneth, you mentioned earlier looking for individual items, new items in the temps. Any final comments on your approach to summer shows?
Yeah, I think it's the same pretty much as everybody else's. But I'm gonna really make a plan to Dallas has so many amazing large scaled multi-line showrooms a lot of times that just have small products, and sometimes you look in and you go, oh god, that's just super overwhelming, and da, da, da. We are definitely making a point to walk those showrooms and to the back corner, to the side, and back out again to make sure that we're not missing, somebody else. And I think in terms too is then supporting those great local reps that are there, and letting them show us all of the great new finds that they've gotten in their showrooms as well too. So obviously it's not just always about the temps, because the major showrooms and the multi-line people have new lines too, so it's definitely seeking those out as well.
Well, that's great to hear. So we've just got about a minute or so remaining, and we've gotten some questions in the Q&A that I want to address really quickly. Most importantly, folks want to know how to follow each of you on social media in order to keep up with what you're doing, your great ideas. So let me start with Alison. What's your handle to follow you?
it's just a Dodson's. So on Instagram and Facebook, and but I'm always, everybody on this panel knows I'm an open book and I take all kinds of emails, phone calls, anything. So from other retailers.
That's great. Kenneth, how we follow you?
Kenneth Ludwig Chicago on both Instagram, Facebook, and then it's just Kenneth Ludwig on LinkedIn.
Okay,
And
Sara?
again, very open. Please reach out.
Faircloth, it's just faircloth.boutique, my last name. So on all channels.
Okay, Beth?
We are Mix It Up CDA. CDA is the acronym for Coeur d'Alene. So Mix It Up CDA, Facebook and Instagram.
Mary Liz?
Leon and Lulu on everything. But I want to say one thing because we haven't brought this up. I cannot thank the Dallas Market Center enough for this webinar and the incredible amount of support you have given the vendors and the retailers and possibly even the consumers during this really unsettling time. Your work as a lobby,
Yeah.
I'm knocked out with what your whole center, Cindy Morris, the whole crew, and you, Cole, of course. Thank you so much from every single one of us.
Well, thank you.
Unpaid, unsolicited comment.
Right back at you. Appreciate that. And Ashley, I want to give you a chance. Someone also asked about how to join the Boutique Hub. How do they connect with Boutique Hub?
Absolutely. So the Boutique Hub on all channels, anywhere and everywhere. You can learn more about, and anyone here is welcome to become a member at theboutiquehub.com/join. So we have a little bit of something for everyone, strategy, community, connection. And then we also have a podcast called Boutique Chat. So if you like podcasts and strategy and hearing other successful retailer stories, check out Boutique Chat as well.
It's
Big
amazing.
thumbs up and recommendation for what the Boutique Hub does in that. And I want to thank everybody for joining us for this special session. It's the first time actually we put something like this together. Couldn't have been more timely and also couldn't have been more engaging. So on behalf of the team at Dallas Market Center, I want to thank all of you. I do want to give a plug to Heart on Main Street, our partner for this presentation. Again, they're an incredible organization, nonprofit, helping retailers, and want to give a plug for Heart on Main Street. And again, I do want to mention that you can go to the new Dallas Market Center website to learn more about what we're up to this summer, the news and information to search. And also someone had a question about American Made. You can now search our website much more substantively for categories and types of product and trends. And more information is available there. To everybody listening, we look forward to seeing you soon. I want everybody to stay positive and stay connected. And from our team to yours, we really thank you. Really appreciate it. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Cole.
Thanks, Cole.
Thank you, Cole.